Are we filming? Yep.
Hey, I'm Brendan Wilkie.
No, you're not. I'm Brendan Wilkie.
No, you're not. I am.
No, you're Brendan Solomon.
No, I'm Brendan. Hey, aren't you with Brendan Solomon?
I'm Brendan Solomon.
With
No, yeah, no, yep,
With who am I?
yep, no,
Brendan Wilkie?
yep.
Wait. If you're with Brendan Wilkie, and I'm Brendan Solomon, who are you?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, then you're Brendan Wilkie.
I'm Brendan Wilkie. You're Brendan Solomon. This is the Brains World channel.
Yeah, apparently.
And today we are going to be talking about, and probably actually not just today, but for the next couple weeks, we're going to be working on telling our story, telling our live stories separately, our life story,
And
then
individually?
individually, and how our individual life stories kind of cross paths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you like to take the first league of this?
Are we going to talk about our first memories?
First or last or second? I don't care.
Okay. I'm going to tell you what my first memory is.
Okay, go ahead.
My first memory was fishing with my late Aunt Bernie. I was probably about 3 or 4. And I remember she was such a hardcore old lady fisherman that she actually caught a frog with her bare hands and hooked it through the head and fished with it. And the first time I'd ever seen live bait being hooked was when I was that young, by my 70-year-old aunt at that point. She was already old, and she was
70.
putting hooks through frogs' heads and fishing for trout with them.
Oh.
So that was pretty awesome. That's my first memory. What's yours?
My first memory was being 5 minutes old.
So you remember being the first day you were born?
Yeah.
Do you think that's maybe something that's common with all people who have Down syndrome?
What?
Remembering that young in life?
Well, maybe maybe not that far, but they do know a lot. Yes.
So do you think that people with Down syndrome have better memories than people without Down syndrome?
Well, that's a half and half question. You see, a lot of them have shorter. A lot of them have shorter
Memory spans?
memory spans than others.
Okay, so you're just saying that your exceptional memory is unique to you just because you're a dude with his own strengths
Yeah.
and talents.
And yeah, my strengths are basically my weaknesses, and my weaknesses are also my strengths. That makes no sense, but I'm saying it, so it's gotta make sense.
Okay, so what? Give me an example of how one of your strengths is also your weakness.
I was born just like everybody else,
Yeah.
but the test results came out with Down syndrome.
Okay. Trisomy 33, right? No, trisomy 21.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they did the test. I was hoping I wouldn't have Down syndrome, but it happened anyway.
So now let's get back to our first memory because we're getting more into down the road in the video.
Okay,
What's your first memory? So you said 5 minutes after your birth is your first memory, and what is it?
is when my mom first held me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's your first memory. You remember that?
yeah,
And isn't that something? Because I can't remember till I am almost 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, and you remember your first day being alive. That's pretty crazy.
yeah. Yet I screamed a lot. Well, not a lot, but still in the hospital here. I was put on a metal table.
Yep.
Now, if I had, a pair of pants on me, it would have been different.
Oh, the metal froze. It was so cold.
I basically yelled louder than any kid in there.
And now let's just get this straight. This is your first day alive.
Yeah.
You remember being put on a metal table without any clothes on and how cold it was and how much it felt really bad.
Yeah, it felt like I've never really had this experience, but you know what a freezer feels like if you've been in it too long?
Yeah.
Without with me.
Well, I know exactly what that feels like because I work in a restaurant and we have giant walk-in freezers where you go in there and you just freeze in 2 seconds. So I can only imagine. Okay,
Yeah.
so now where are we going to go with the video? We've told our first memories. We've introduced ourselves. What's next?
We can talk about life was in the passing lane of school.
Okay, so school. Okay, so I'll go first.
With all manner.
I was born in Cape Breton. I went to Coxseath Elementary School. I started there in 1987. I lived there till I was 7, so after grade 1, I started grade 2 in Elmira, Ontario. School was pretty good for me. I did pretty well in school. I was a bit of a troublemaker, but I got good grades, so usually the teachers let me slide and slip through the cracks. I guess I was
With
kind
the
of
pair of skates on, huh?
yeah, I was skating through the cracks, and
Hope I don't get killed.
I had lots of friends growing up. I still have some of the friends that I had back then today. So I think I've been pretty lucky that through school, school was pretty good to me. I got good grades and I graduated high school in 2000. I was graduating class 2000. So that's kind of my story about school. Why don't you tell me your story about school and how it maybe differs from mine?
Well, my school, the names are changed to take the names in here, but it was on my street. It was a Catholic school from the outside. Inside, I guess it was Catholic in there too, but it sure feels different. Like I didn't, even on the first day walking in, I was kind of walking on thin ice. I was wearing crutches and had a cast on my right leg.
That's when you got smoked by that car when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We'll talk about that later, but
yeah, but it was just a thought, you know.
yeah, for sure.
I was walking in there, and I can't really tell how many faces were sad, but school was pretty good. It was rough, but it was great.
How was it rough?
Well, like I said, it was great all the way through, but it was rough because ahead of me, another guy with Down syndrome was there for a couple of years before me.
Talk about Nathan?
Yeah. And when I got there, I don't know if it was the air or what, but there seemed to be a lot of kids that were up in the school. Half of them were students. Half of them were students that were being bullied on.
So were you a bully or the bullied?
I was neither. I had bullies, but it was outside of the school.
Okay, so in school, as a young kid, you had a good time. No one really picked on you. You had a good friend that you hung out with.
Yeah.
So that's pretty similar to mine, right? Is that how my junior school was pretty smooth? I had a friend, at least a couple friends to hang out with.
I had some friends. I had Doug, which is a friend that I met in a organization called Couples for Christ. My parents have that.
Yep.
But I didn't know that
Brendan's
Doug,
parents, just for the record, and Brendan as well, are very involved in the Catholic Church, and they really are passionate about that. So that's part of your background as well.
yeah, a part of my background that I didn't run from it, but it got more confusing. So I had to.
What got confusing? What do you mean?
Well, first of all, I was a kid,
Yeah,
and
I guess everything's kind of confusing when you're a kid.
how can a kid shut up in school? In church, especially a kid like me, and just sit still.
Yep, that's what I found the hardest about going to church when I was a kid too.
Like I didn't stop going because of that. I never really stopped going. I just kind of.
You found other ways to celebrate your faith in God,
Yeah.
and maybe some of those ways didn't involve going to a church once a week, but knowing that it's there,
Yeah.
and having the ability to go there is important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my life at school and at Resurrection was.
So now we're talking high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't I go first about high school because we're going back and forth.
Go ahead.
Okay, so now we're talking high school. High school I started in 1996 in Elmira, Ontario. Once again, like I said, I had the same friends since I was a kid. We were all kind of musically passionate. So we had a band in high school.
La la la.
Grade 11, I got in a bad car wreck, which was similar. We talked about Brendan. He got hit by a car when he was really young. Well, I got hit by a car. I was in a car. You weren't in a car, but I was inside a car.
Yeah,
Mine was a car
yeah.
accident. Yours is like a,
I was at the kind of Sogamo actually.
yeah, you were a pedestrian.
Yeah.
And I got in a car accident in grade 11, so I don't really remember grade 11 and 12 because I had a pretty serious head injury. High school was good. Once again, besides the recovery from the accident, I did good in school. I had friends. I got good grades.
In other words, he had no brains.
Yeah, well, for a while there, it was hard to get any schoolwork done because I, was suffering a brain injury. But
Yeah.
now things are good, and by the time high school was over, I was ready for college. So why don't you tell me about your high school then?
Well, high school,
Resurrection, Catholic high school.
again, it was Catholic in and out.
Yep.
And, but I found something out while I was in there.
What's that?
Now, everybody else going there was catching up with their, the points, what they were learning. I had the back side of that. I went to high school, but I went through the side door of that reality, which was special ed,
Special education. Okay.
which was, above all, it was fine. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But secretly, I was hurt.
Yeah, you weren't getting too much out of the education they were providing.
Well, I got a lot of it. I got a lot of it. It's just that they decided, the whole saga of me has been always special athletes,
Right.
special,
Special this, special that.
yeah. I have Down syndrome. I'm not really I'm not a Frankenstein.
Definitely not.
But I just as well should have been.
If you are a Frankenstein, you're a pretty good looking Frankenstein. Anyway, okay. So I think you're talking about labels.
Yeah.
Labels that were put on you in high school.
They weren't put on me right off the bat. But going down the road of that life, I really should have been put into a class where I could struggle.
Yeah.
What I was struggling at.
So you're saying special education didn't challenge you at all, so you didn't really
No.
learn as much as you could have.
It was like I could have learned what a freckle was, and it would have been, it would have been like I could have learned why my nose is on my face, and it would have been like that.
Okay, so you're saying special education, your intent to learn, special education didn't provide the environment or the capacity for you to learn as much as you wanted.
Yeah, and they were way over my head.
Well, I think you're saying that maybe, compared to other people that were in your special ed class, you were quite a bit ahead of them.
Way ahead.
So that's why you think that you could have benefited from being in just a regular classroom,
Yeah,
right?
and
And being challenged.
Yeah, and even if I was sweating and being embarrassed, it would have been better being embarrassed than to make fun of because I got Down syndrome.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that high schools in general could benefit from maybe having some kind of education available about teaching and helping people with Down syndrome learn to their maximum capacity?
No.
What do you think should happen?
If you have Down syndrome, it's not an outfit you can step out of. It's not a pair of pants you can just take off.
Right.
It's with you. So why learn about it?
So you don't think people should know about it?
Well, they should know about it, but they should know what the effect would be if I took in somebody who has special needs,
Yep.
and me having it too.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I never was really teaching them.
Okay, so let's say you're a teacher and a young boy who has a disability that you know nothing about comes under your teachings, and now you're teaching this boy. What do you think is the best way to teach that boy? To learn how he learns, or to ask him how he learns and try and learn from him?
Actually, I know that's what everybody else would say,
Yep.
but I'd rather learn about the kid through other people that may have taught him
Okay.
that maybe that was his downfall.
Right.
And then I would work with that.
Okay, so to start off, you'd want to get a bit of background information on him.
Yeah, like maybe, like was he a jack?
Right.
In some cases.
So here's a question. This is hypothetical and kind of just like philosophical, I guess. Do you think that the education system needs to realize that not everyone with Down syndrome is the same?
They need to realize that everyone with Down syndrome
Is different?
is different by way over.
Okay, so you think maybe there should be some way to gauge.
Like they shouldn't have to be treated like they get this special power that they have with Down syndrome. That wouldn't be fair.
So okay, so now what I'm trying to get to the bottom of here is that you think that, like, was there other people with Down syndrome in your special ed class?
Not too many.
Okay, but
yeah,
do you think in general, when you're around other people with Down syndrome, that you're kind of a little bit above the learning curve and you're a little more capable than they are?
I'm way more above.
So that's why I'm wondering.
Matter of fact, they're under. Like it should be me being. It should be me being under them, but I'm not.
Well, and that's it. The point I'm making is that everyone's different. So maybe the best way to teach people, and I think that society is going in this direction. You might be a little old to be catching the new education system, but they're starting to really focus on individuality and someone's ability to learn individually. And I think that's maybe something that you kind of missed out on in high school because they hadn't really gone that way yet.
Like I really missed it because
you were just put in a classroom with a whole bunch of people. There's probably people, you know, in wheelchairs and not talking. And was there people like that in your class?
yeah, a couple.
Like people that maybe couldn't even speak.
Well, they could. One of them could.
They could communicate, but maybe not speak like you can. Like how you can describe your thoughts and articulate your feelings.
Like I got a friend, The Simpsons, and I'm not talking the Simpsons show. I'm talking.
A family called The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to take out that last name there. I'm sorry, I put it in there.
Well, it's okay. We can edit that when.
Kevin is always a dear friend of mine.
So Kevin Sampson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sampson. Sampson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, actually, there was another friend, too, that I had, and he could talk, but when he talked, the special needs he had was more severe than mine.
So what I'm saying is, okay, so let's just kind of round this all up. We're looking at how my high school, I said it was pretty easy going. I got hurt real bad, which kind of put a fork in it. But for the most part, I did good in high school, and it was pretty easy on me. Whereas you're saying
I was the fork.
you were the fork, and you kind of got walked all over in high school because you weren't given the right education that you deserve.
Well, was given the right. It was just coming out in the wrong package.
Okay, so you just don't think it was delivered as the way it should have been.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we've talked about high school. What's next?
How
about first girlfriends?
Okay.
Okay, my first girlfriend was a girl named Jen. I went to high school with her. We got together because we both liked the same kind of music, which was punk rock and ska music. We used to go to shows a lot together. Her dad passed away while we were dating, actually, which was kind of, well, crappy, obviously, but also...
You must have needed like 15,000 boxes of Kleenex.
Well, and that's it, is that I was too young to really, I think, give her the right support that she needed in that situation. I did my best, but shortly after her dad passed away, we ended up breaking up.
I can't do funerals.
No, it was tough, man. It was very tough. But that was my first girlfriend, and she was great. You know, everything ended on good terms. We respected each other. And, yeah. So, your first girlfriend.
Well, call me a loner, all right? Call me a loner, but I was in Halifax at the time.
Yep.
My sister was already there. Well, actually, Little was Cadabit. It was on the way to Halifax. I had a heart there. Real cute. Hair down to shoulder level.
Yeah.
Everything pretty. And yeah, she was very pretty and
Cool. So that was your first girlfriend. You guys had a short but sweet relationship. It sounds like.
Her name is Beth,
Okay.
and not to be confused by any other Beths,
Right.
but this one lived up there.
Yeah. Beth from Halifax, not Beth from Kitchener.
Yeah, well,
We won't even. Yeah.
the little Miss Cadavit, yeah.
Kadabit. Okay, so we've talked about first memories, our school experience. We've talked about our first girlfriends. So I think maybe that's where we should end it for this session today.
Okay?
Because we're already at 20 minutes and 26, 27, 28 seconds.
I can count on you.
So, yeah, you'll see us at a
4,
different
5,
location,
6.
and we'll have more to talk about our lives. We're going to get into how we both became men, maybe what we did right after high school, and then we'll get into when we
I
met.
became a man at the age of 9.
Good enough, and stay tuned.
Very strange, but hey, catch yourself a thing of popcorn, or
Yeah, look for this is actually going to be, we can't put videos over 10 minutes on YouTube yet. I don't know.
and my life is over.
So you'll have to look for all of the part 1, part 2, part 3, and all that coming
Yeah.
up. Okay, we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Extreme close-up.
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at
A seatbelt.
seatbelt and also part 2 of our little documentary that we're doing.
On the real us. And right off the bat, I would like to thank a very special somebody
Who's that?
that gave me the idea for this, Mr. Sean C. Phillips.
Sean C. Phillips. There we go. He's the one who gave us the idea to make this documentary. So we're kind of doing it on his behalf in some ways.
Yes.
Cool.
He was doing something with a friend of his, and that put the brain, I put the thought in my brain, since it's called the Brain Squid Channel.
Right.
I salute you, Sean C. Phillips. I watch all your stuff, and I love it.
Okay, so let's go back to what we filmed last time. What were we doing?
We were talking about how I had it more harder than Brendan, Loki.
Right. Okay, so we're comparing our lives. Me being someone who was born without a disability, and you being someone who was born with a disability.
Yes. And I'm getting just a little bit warm, so I'll take off my coat, and I'll get very comfortable.
Cool. I can basically see right inside your ear right now. And they're clean, so that's good.
Yeah. So if anyone's wondering if I did clean in there, I did.
So, he did clean his ears today, so that's good. He's a clean young fella. Maybe we should talk about the business that we just talked about that we're going to start. Going to start next week.
Right after this important introduction, the Kronk, I used to actually be in
Kronk boxing
the
team.
actual boxing gym with my dad, a.k.a. Leonard Solomon.
Lenny.
Leonard Witt.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
With a friend that knew my name and put it right on there.
Sweet.
And now we're back to the many adventures of what's inside the brain.
Okay, so we just talked about a business that we're going to think about starting. Why don't you tell us about it?
We are starting a business, basically, about something that I do for pretty much a good chunk of my life. I've been burning CDs.
Yeah, pretty much since computers were invented, really.
Yeah. Other people have been burning CDs. I take a passion and relaxation and meditation in the 50s and 60s,
Yep.
70s, 80s, 2000s, and whatever floats your boat there, hold your might.
Right, so what we're thinking about doing is Brendan's really good at not only creating custom-made track lists to put onto CDs, but he's great at making the covers and all that.
And by the way, I'm not a hackler in YouTube. I'm just a YouTuber.
Right.
I'm just one of you. I'm just one of you good people.
If it's on YouTube, it's open for him, and you can use it. That's if you can watch it for free, you can listen to it for free. So we're all good there. We don't have to worry about any laws being
So
broken.
I'm not a hackler.
Right.
I'm not hacking into anything. I'm just making CDs. I'm just one of the people, basically like you are, behind the film and the view YouTube.
Basically, public access. We're taking publicly, using public music to help people. So what we were thinking is Brendan. Okay, so there's two things about Brendan. One, he has a disability, so he's connected to a world of people who also have disabilities.
And I'm sorry that this is in the way.
No problem. But also, Brendan
I
is
did not raise.
a very capable young man in burning CDs and making CDs that people will really enjoy.
You got
So
it.
we thought, why not take this huge world of people with disabilities that he is directly connected to,
And other people in general.
and other people in general, but where we're going to start is we're going to go to community livings like KW Rehabilitation, Elmira Community Living, Guelph Community Living, and we're going to see if we can get into their group homes to interview some of the people who live there, and see if in some way we can try and get some profits
pardon me?
coming in for making them CDs that they like. So that the plan is to go into a group home with maybe people who live there who maybe don't necessarily know how to burn a CD, or maybe they don't even have a computer. Who knows? There could be a list of reasons why they don't burn their own music. Brendan's going to take custom orders, and we're going to make custom
custom
CDs for people. So one CD, $5 a pop. You can pick all the tracks and all the artists that you want on it. Brendan will take that information. He'll go
I
home.
will find it, take it, get it, burn it.
Exactly. And then hopefully we can make a little profit and start a business. So that's our plan for next week. We're going to start a business plan for our CD burning company, which is you might not think in a world where people have computers and knowledge of computers that it would be that profitable, but we're trying to help people out who maybe don't know how to use those type of things, like computers and CD burners and all that.
And that would take place with the medieval times. They wouldn't have computers either.
Exactly. So if we could somehow find some Neanderthals or some Vikings,
Medieval.
we could really make some good Viking CDs or something.
Yeah. In the Navy.
So, all right, so that's good. We told you about our business plan. So I guess this video is more us showing you behind the world of us as, a modern friendship. And we talked about in the last video how, our lives compared growing up. But I think that this video is going to be more focused on what we're doing together now in the modern times.
And if you like to stomach the look of my worker back here, if you like to stomach that, he's right back here.
Mm-hmm. Why, hello. How are you? That's nice. Okay, back to me. Just so we got an idea of what's going on here, I just got a 20% of battery remaining, so we don't have that much battery, but we're already at 6 minutes, and we still got lots of time. So what do you want to talk about now? What do we plan? Okay, so what are our goals in life? I guess. What do we want to do? What am I always harping you about? What am I always on your ass about, or on your butt again? I guess I shouldn't say that word. What am I always on your butt about in life?
We're not so much making a difference, but getting out there, getting more active, getting a job.
You got it. That's what I really want for you. So maybe we should discuss things that you'd like to do maybe for volunteer work. Because I'm always on Brendan's butt about, yes, it's great to have things and do things that make your life better, but I'm always encouraging him to maybe give some of that energy back into helping people in the world and society. That's the great thing about this new job and this new business that we got, is because not only does it help you become better at something you already love, but it helps other people enjoy what you love.
And the Braintool channel is taking forms in different ways in our business.
Yeah, we're making branches or arms, if you will, branches off the knowledge tree that is Brains World. That's us, Brains World. So what are we going to talk about? We got this whole video. We got 7 minutes recording. We got to find stuff to talk about in this video.
Well, I would like to get back to our original video that we had last week.
Okay.
Because I bet people finally know about our business.
Yep.
And everything else, but they could be getting bored really, really fast.
Right. So how are we going to entertain the masses?
We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of having a handicap and not having a handicap. So I'm talking too fast.
No problem.
And to take this again the same way we had it before, originally starting off with Brendan again.
Okay. So can I flip this camera around, or do I gotta?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. So what am I going to talk about?
You can talk about other things that maybe I had more harder.
Okay. Well, first off, before, when I'm talking about someone, some things that I like to do is usually talk about the positive things before I start mentioning the harder or negative things, if you will. So maybe I'll talk about the positive things that I see about you. Does that sound good?
Or of yourself back in the day. That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about you for a bit, because that's just what I feel like.
Go right ahead. My head and ears all filled up with you.
Well, I guess maybe I'll tell a bit about myself. I've been working in social services for about 10 or 12 years now. I've come across hundreds of people with Down syndrome, some of which I've formed great relationships with, some of which I just couldn't relate to. Brendan's one of the ones that I have formed a very strong relationship with.
The strongest.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with his exceptionalities and things that he has in his personality. Like Brendan's one of the most capable men artistically that I've ever met.
And the
Down
slowest
syndrome
eater of
aside.
burgers.
And the which?
And the slowest eater of burgers.
Yeah, I call him Bucky McSlowburger because if there's something for a buck, he's probably going to buy it. And if he's eating a burger, he's eating it real slow. So
I can stretch a burger bun and $1.
you could probably, if you had to eat 3 burgers in one day, it probably wouldn't even be able to be done in one day. It'd probably take you 3 or 4 days.
Very wonderful and disgusting. Let's get back to our singer.
Right, okay. So anyway, Brendan is a very capable young man. If we're going to relate him, which I don't really like doing, but for the sake of this video, I think it's necessary. If we're going to relate Brendan to other people with Down syndrome and the capabilities they have with generating their own happiness, using their time wisely, being communicative and defined in their speech, Brendan's in the top 99th percentile of ability. So I think that's posed a lot of problems for Brendan because people see him and they relate him to other people they may have met with Down syndrome, where that isn't necessarily the best thing to do because Brendan's kind of in a league of his own, or at least a very, very small percentage of people who have Down syndrome. So I think that's posed a lot of problems for him. I think that's why I relate to him so much, because I know him and I know that he's not held back near as much as some people are due to their disability.
I'm held back somewhat, but that's just because I see the world through a different eye that has no Down syndrome at all.
Right. And Brendan's found it very easy to relate to people who don't have disabilities because he is kind of in that own world of his own in his abilities.
And I'm very afraid of roadkill, just saying.
Yeah, he saw a dead bird a while ago and he just started running. He just ran home.
Different animals, and I'm sorry to gross people out or they're eating pizza. I'm sorry it's making you turn green in the face, but my experience of death is just, which, death is not the subject, but death is my alter ego.
He's kind of got a darkness to him, I guess. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, I'm more afraid of mental death than physical.
Right. So you'd rather be mentally stimulated than working out and getting good exercise. You have more fun using your brain than using your body. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, I can use my brain and my body, but my brain tells me a lot of things that are more frightening than my body does. Because my body will run, but my brain will pick up on things like why am I? Well, I mean, I'm getting out of line here, but I guess the only way I can get myself back into line is to let Brendan talk about me.
Right. So I think that Brendan has faced a lot more struggles in much different ways than most people who have Down syndrome, just because he's so damn smart and he's so comprehensive of his actions on a daily basis that he has different struggles, like we all do. Every person has different struggles, and I think that his biggest struggle is being put under that umbrella label of having Down syndrome, where that doesn't really mean anything as far as I'm concerned, because I've known hundreds of people with Down syndrome, and each one of them is so different. And I think it's a big problem in society where these labels are put on people, like, oh, he's a guy with Down syndrome, he's going to be funny and happy all the time. When that's not true. Like that's just what media tells us. That's what the TV told us. Brendan's just a regular guy with regular emotions, with regular problems.
And sometimes real people can tell you that. Like, I don't mean to name names, but maybe your parents might get the wrong idea.
Yeah, well, maybe sometimes your parents fall into those, easily labeled kind of situations as well, where they might not know how to deal with anything.
Like, I'm not trying to label them, but
Well, I think we can label all parents, yours, mine, everybody's, as maybe they don't always know what's best for their kid. And that's just how it is.
well, I mean, I don't mean to get into the personal lives, but they are very tired.
Well, they've raised kids. They got kids in their 40s and late 30s and their grandparents. And here we got this little 25-year-old kid with all the energy in the world, I might add, and all the desire and ability in the world to just be nonstop busy all the time. And that can be hard for people of your parents' age to deal with. Forget if they're your parents. If we ran into a couple of 70-year-olds and we were just out and about doing our regular thing, we'd probably tire them out too, even if we didn't know them. Just because we were young and we got a lot to say and a lot of energy. And I think that if we're going to talk about Brendan specifically, I think that he is just as unique as any person would consider themselves in the world. So that's Brendan and me in a nutshell. I think that
There's a whole lot of peanut butter.
a lot of peanut butter. And I'm a big guy, so if more peanut butter, the better, I think. Right?
Yeah,
Wow,
sure.
I actually silenced Brendan. That was something. He didn't have anything to say there, which is something else.
Hey,
So anyway,
Skippy peanut butter.
so I'm sick of being on the camera, so I'm gonna keep a close up on your face. Now, okay, so we've told about, you know, in the first video we talked about all of our lives separately before we met each other, and now we're talking about, you know, our modern lives together and the struggles that we face, and also the happiness that we face. So why don't we talk about some of the happiness that we've had in the last, what have we been hanging out, 4 years? 5 years maybe?
Something like that.
I think it's like, it's about 4 years anyway. So
4
anyway,
years, yeah.
why don't we talk about some of the happy things that we've done?
Well, I met Brendan through another guy who was trying to walk into this for the second or first time.
Or are you talking about our first time we met?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Matter of fact, I was there, but I bet Brendan has a better view of the story.
Okay, do you want me to put the camera on me again?
If you like to.
Okay, so I met Brendan through Extended Family, which is social support through the government to give people a little more stimulation and sociological, I guess, just gives them a buddy, someone who's going to try and help them and be there for them. So that's kind of what I try and do for
When
Brendan.
my parents aren't. Sorry, but the link below.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with what your parents can and can't do. I think it's about what you need in your life, and that's, you know.
Again, I'm sorry for the link below. I had to say it.
Yeah, well, I think that your parents would agree with us that you need some kind of guidance that isn't from your parents and more from someone around your age. So
Yeah.
that's what Extended Family does. They match support workers up with people who need support or who desire support. Maybe they don't need it; they just want it. Like Brendan more just wants it. He doesn't really need it; he just wants it.
Well, I need it, but the wants more. Inquire. It's out there. Sorry about that. You can
Yeah.
hug.
So
get
with
the hug-
Extended
hug
Family,
the-
like I said, they match
Hug the
people up,
YouTube, yeah.
and how they do that is when, like Brendan was on a list of someone who needed support or was requesting support. So I looked at that list. And I'm like, oh, that guy, we got the same name. You know, we're pretty similar in age. I'm a little bit older than Brendan, but not much.
Not knowing our parents were
Well,
sort of.
I'm going to get into that right now. So I go over to Brendan's house. My girlfriend's waiting in the car at Tim Hortons up the street. I go into the house, and you know my coordinator from Extended Family's there. She's got a externship guy from university. It's like first time seeing a match visit.
Who basically turned white in the face after his experience.
Well, I'll get to that. We're getting to that right now. So I sit down at the table with Brendan's dad,
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
and I see that there's a china cabinet behind the kitchen table with a whole bunch of china, and I notice that there's a whole bunch of Cape Breton tartan on it, and pictures of Cape Breton Island. And so I say to Len, Brendan's dad, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm from Cape Breton. Who else here is from Cape Breton? So sure enough, his mom, Marie, comes scooting around the corner.
Scooting.
And she says, oh, I'm from Cape Breton. And I said, oh. So of course, one thing leads to another. She says, who's your mother? What's your mother's name there, boy? As they say in Cape Breton. So sure enough, I say that my mom was Rosie O'Neill. And sure enough, they're born in the exact same year. They were in the same class. They were taught by the nuns in the convent
The
together.
50s.
And this is actually the 50s. So they would have met in 1951 or 1952 when they were just starting school. So one thing leads to another. Brendan's mom is on the phone with my mom at the match visit.
Laughing and all this.
Me and Brendan take off. We're gone together. We're just going out walking around.
And the other guy's trying to recuperate from his.
And of course,
Shock.
this externship student that's with my coordinator witnessing this match visit for the first time is just blown away, because what are the odds that we have the same name, we both live in Ontario,
wins.
and 50,
He just flew.
even 60 years ago, our moms went to school together in the same town in Cape Breton. Like, just unbelievable. Like, it really is just a small world situation. So that's how me and Brendan met. Kind of a match made in heaven, if you will, if you want to go that way. And now, since then, we've kind of made a lot of progress with our relationship, and I'd like Brendan to maybe tell you about some of his experiences with me as a support worker.
Well,
And I got 10% battery on my phone, and we're at 18 minutes, so we got 2 minutes to wrap this up.
I'm really good at wrapping things up here.
Yeah. Except for Christmas presents. I'm the worst at wrapping Christmas presents.
Yeah. So anyway, before Brendan, I was pretty much up a creek. And then I met Brendan. I was still up a creek. I had to learn about him
Yep.
as much as he had to learn about me. And, let's just say we kind of hit it off. And,
And how did we hit it off? Like, what did we have in common?
our mothers went to the same school together.
And art and music and all that.
Everything under the moon.
Yeah.
So we so yeah, he's been working on me. I've been working on him
Yep.
with the good and the bad.
Yep, for sure.
And I bet in the next brain world, like where we got, and I bet in our next Down syndrome awareness we'll have more things to say. But
Yeah,
right
well,
now,
we got 1 minute left. I think that we do need to do another video because we just kind of scratched the surface with us.
yeah.
So I think maybe what we'll do is in a week or two or whatever, because next week we're going to be making our business plan for our new job that we're going to do in our
And
business.
we are going to put this into a sandwich and wrap it up.
Yes, we're going to wrap this up for today. Next week I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll figure it out. I think we should maybe go into.
We can talk about your dead battery.
Yeah, it's almost dead. 30 seconds to wrap this up. Okay, so next week we'll talk about things that we've done. Maybe we'll go through a list of cool videos that we've made or cool things that we've done. Like we could talk about Niagara Falls or like
We could talk about anything.
going on my trailer, you catching that huge pike or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah.
So we got 15 seconds, 14 seconds, 13 seconds. Next week we'll be back. We'll talk about cool things that we've done together since we've known each other. And
Be
then,
there or be square.
so that's it. 5 seconds. We'll talk about cool things that we've done and cool things that we're gonna do. This is Brains World signing out.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm sorry about that. That was
No problem. I'm just in the middle of a house sale and a house purchase. That was my lawyer calling me with some very, very important information. So, we're going to get back to it. Where were we?
I was talking about a boy that I hurt.
Right, with the sword. Okay. All right, so so let's just recap. You're young, you're a young boy. This other boy has decided that he wants to have a bit of a sword fight with you. You're kind of iffy on the whole sword fight, but you start playing and you got a little rough and you hit him in the chest really hard and he's hurt.
Like, I mean, I wasn't trying to be rough.
Just lucky shot, I guess.
Well,
Unlucky shot.
It wasn't lucky. I was really not looking forward to that. I didn't just hurt him. There was a red lump on his chest.
Right,
Red. Like, it was red like a bottle of Heinz ketchup.
right.
And when I saw him go almost... Something in my brain at that young age just went... I think you really overdid it this time. So... And if it wasn't bad enough, somebody, I'm not quite sure if it was his mother or somebody my mother figured, came out and kind of gave me a hard time on it. That was kind of uncalled for. I know what I did. I saw his face.
Did you apologize?
I tried to, but nothing came out.
Like you couldn't speak? You're kind of in shock?
I was in real shock. The only thing I could have done was run, and I basically dropped the sword in my defense.
And you ran? You took off?
I kind of walked away, and because I knew if I tried to duke it out, I knew if I had to. I knew that if I dug down deeper, it'd be a good chance I wouldn't be alive right now.
You think you might have gone too far?
Mentally.
Right. Okay, so we're talking about things that maybe you kind of regret. So I guess what could you have changed about that situation to make it better?
I would have made it that sword wouldn't have made my hand.
Right, so you never even got in the little play fight that turned into kind of a real fight. You wish it never would have happened.
Yeah.
So maybe that you would have had the confidence to say you didn't want to play that game?
Well, I mean, I was too young at the time.
Right, but now that you're looking back on it, you maybe wish that you were wise enough to say that you didn't want to play that game because you knew someone could get hurt and it was dangerous.
Yeah, and I'm kind of danger prone. Like, I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing or what I'm saying until after it's been done and said.
Your middle name is Danger.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Okay, so cool, man. That's so that's one thing that you can look back on and maybe you do a little differently. Is there any others? Maybe a little later in life, like maybe as a young 9 or 10-year-old or an early teenager?
Well, an early teenager, I really couldn't do anything there. Puberty did that for me.
Puberty? So we're talking puberty. We're talking like 13, 14 area? 15 maybe?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe lower, maybe like 11
Yeah, okay.
or 9.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I was more confused there than ever.
Yeah, I think most boys can say that.
But it would have been more confusing for me having a handicap there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
What-
not saying that had anything to do with it,
Right.
but it just as well. But it might as well had been that way because I never could tell what I was doing.
Yeah. You had a whole other list of things to worry about than most people.
Yeah, like the give or take version of I think called Halifax.
Right.
My sister went up there, and
University.
yeah, and ever since then I've been kind of running scared. So
Right.
it's no offense to anybody like my sister.
Right.
It's just I never really had. I changed over the years more than she did.
Or maybe you just changed in different ways that
Yeah.
maybe each other didn't understand as
Like-
well.
Like she was hoping I would have matured when she came back. I really couldn't. You know, I was first of all too young
Mm-hmm.
to make my own bed. You know,
Yeah.
I could have made it, but I would have made it worse.
Right. So we're talking about, okay, so we're taking that. Okay, so your sister we're talking about. Is there something maybe, or something you regret, or something that you wish you would have changed or done differently
Well,
in the past with the way you guys interact together?
well, that's sort of a five-way street because I don't know what to say about her, and when I say something about her, she's usually got her. She's usually well, it's sort of like a five-way street with me and her. We every time I say something or think of something, she's usually the first one to turn up the ears really, really high to sense what I'm saying before I say it.
Right. I think as an outsider looking in, I think that's because she loves you and worries about you and wants you to make good decisions for yourself. But I understand how maybe sometimes that can affect you in ways that maybe she doesn't want to affect you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to scare her off the planet.
Right, and I don't think she's trying to scare you off the planet either. So let's try and figure out if there was something growing up that you and Shannon that you could have changed.
Well-
we're not talking about what Shannon could have changed. We're talking about what you could have done differently. This is about your life, right? So what could you have done to maybe help that whole situation? If there, I don't know if it's arguments or whatever you guys went through. Is there anything that you could have done differently to maybe not change or maybe just make different your relationship, good or worse?
Well, I hope it's not worse because I know. Well, I mean,
Okay, so that's good. You don't want to make your relationship worse. You want to make it better.
yeah, but
Okay.
in able to make it better, I have to go through the worst.
Right. So, and you know, sometimes change is hard. And so, is there something that you could think of that you would have changed growing up in the way you interacted with Shannon?
I kind of wish I kept the school I went to, Monsignor Gleason. I wish that could have been on a lower scale of when I would talk to her.
So maybe control what you say a little better. You maybe you wish sometimes you just would have shut your mouth instead of saying something.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the story of my life. I can't ever. I almost can't shut my mouth
Right.
about stuff,
So maybe sometimes you
and that really burns the heck out of me. I
Right.
can't.
and maybe that if you would have watched your mouth and thought what you were going to say before you said it. Sometimes with Shannon growing up, maybe you wouldn't have argued as much, or maybe you get along better now. Is that what you mean?
Well, if I was to watch my mouth,
Yeah.
my eyes would have to be under my nose.
Right, because you can see your emotion on your face really, really easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe controlling your emotions and maybe not letting your emotions get the best of you would have been something you could have changed.
Well, actually, well, first of all, emotions are sacred things.
For sure, I
And-
agree.
I probably couldn't have done that part. What you're saying,
Mhm.
because emotions make a man
Right,
what he is now.
right,
That makes my worker look the way he is now.
Right.
That makes my sister the way she is now.
right.
I just can't not talk about things
Right.
that scared the complete heck out of me as
Mm-hmm.
a kid.
So maybe you know what? I have the same kind of thing where I have my older brother's 7 years older than me, and we didn't have much of a relationship as kids because of the age difference. Sometimes I wish that we were closer in age. Do you think maybe you had more time with Shannon and Will living with you at your house to get to know them better?
Well, see, Will is another story altogether.
I actually didn't mean to say Will.
Oh,
I
Aaron.
meant to say Aaron. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I think my brother-in-law Will would have been in the house when the house was being built,
Right.
because he's been there kind of I always intended Will being the pit brother I never had
Right.
being around me.
Just because Aaron was so much older than you and moved out so when you were so young, right?
I mean, I'm not trying to scare Will,
Right.
but
But Will's kind of filled that role as an older brother because he is your brother-in-law. He is family. So that's awesome. So you have a great relationship with Will. So do you think, like I said earlier, I think you kind of sidetracked what I was asking you. I asked, do you wish maybe you were closer in age to your older brother and sister? So maybe you formed a more brother-sister relationship rather than like a guardian little brother relationship?
but see, this just it right there.
Right.
In the eyes of my sister, I will always be the kid that never really grew up.
What I can tell you is that's because she loves you. I hope you know that.
Yeah, I know that.
Good.
I'm just like I'm not scared of it so much.
Right.
I wish you would let me. Although I'm not trying to hurt Shannon.
Yeah, we all know that you love your sister. You always talk about her. You obviously love her. It's very apparent your love for her.
Like I mean, I intended her being in the background when I was being kind of. I always intended her being in the background of Monsignor Gleason when I was going there
Right.
because I mean, there was a time in my life I don't know whether it was my mouth or something, but I always seemed to hit rock bottom with the principal.
Right.
And some people, like my sister, doesn't want me to talk about it. It kind of drives her off the wall, up and down the wall, but I cannot not go there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rubber snakes, I said rubber,
Yeah. Let's talk about these rubber snakes. So you mentioned to me once in our past that you hung out with a lot of people who also had disabilities growing up just because that's your environment. That's who was around you. So those are the friends you made, but you stopped hanging out with those people.
Well,
And why did you do that?
Well, I didn't stop.
You just distanced yourself, I guess.
I didn't want to, I had to. Because you know how a person kind of seeks you out in the end? Whether they didn't intend to hurt you, they're still going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Rubber snakes was always my way to figure things out.
Right. Have a friend that wasn't going to mistreat you.
Yeah. And like, I know they're not real, but I don't know why I just said that, because rubber snakes are real to me.
Right.
They're not just something I got over, but obsessed about. This is not an obsession. This is my extended family.
It sounds like they were a tool for you to deal with some emotional stuff that you were going through.
Well, not so much a tool. I needed friends, and like now, I'm more rubber than man. It's just because
I like that metaphor. More rubber than man.
like I don't know what I'm doing. I barely know where I'm at, let alone what I'm doing.
Right. I feel differently about that. I think you know exactly what's going on and exactly what you're doing, but maybe sometimes you just get a little worked up and a little overwhelmed with some things.
Like say I had an argument, say with my sister, as an example.
Yeah.
Not really a threat, just a
Little argument.
yeah. That may have turned out bigger than appeared or
Right.
or imagined.
Or maybe bigger than it even ever should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My rubber snakes would have cued right in, like the video camera behind the video camera.
Right.
I would take my trouble to them, and even though they don't talk, I would go, Buster or somebody, I really wish this could go better, and then that, but like, well, like I would change my voice, making it
Yep.
going into like, well, you know, master, I know what you're going through, you know,
Yeah.
like that kind of,
Right.
and like I've always had a backdoor imagination.
Right.
Back door's got to open,
Right.
front door's got to open, side door's got to open, imagination.
Do you find that maybe as a youngster you didn't have anybody to really relate to?
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay.
Bingo. Yeah.
So you had relationships with everybody that was around you, but it was hard to really say what was the truth and what was really happening.
I mean, I did have other friends, but they were more like around my parents' age,
Right.
which was great. I developed the elder part, but never my part of the deal.
Right.
You know, like I've had friends that were my parents' friends back then, but they weren't my age.
So who do you think in your life has been the one person that you can really relate to and really tell everything to?
I mean, sorry, but I learned to respect my elders at a really early age.
Yeah.
That's because I was always around those guys.
Right.
But I would like you to tell me what you just said there again.
Who in your life is there one person that you can think of that you really related to, or that you could really talk to and understand you?
Well, I'm probably bringing back more ghosts than anything else here.
Right.
So if I am, don't judge me because of that.
I never judge you for anything, my buddy.
Well, I mean, other people watching this video might.
Yeah, well, that's why we're really getting into the nitty-gritty realness of our lives. That's what we're trying to say.
Like, I'm sort of bringing back a lot of ghosts here.
Yep, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the past. We're talking about why we became the men that we became.
Between my godmother Cheryl,
Yeah.
my
Passing away in the car accident.
well, not that part, but yeah, that part. My dad's sister, really.
Yeah.
My godmother and aunt. If anyone's confused about that,
Godmother and aunt.
I
yeah.
did not. You know, I'm not trying to confuse you.
Okay.
Her, my sister Shannon, and my used to be girlfriend from Cambridge, Dana Jameson.
Right.
I don't know why I put the last name in there, but but
We can take that out later if you want.
I think I'll keep it in there.
Okay.
She was more who Cheryl was in a teenage age.
Right. Okay, so now let's ask you this. Is there anything, like with the rubber snakes, back to that, is there anything that you would have done differently about the rubber snakes? Or is there anything that you would have changed about that whole situation?
No.
So you think that that helped you become the man that you are today?
If rubber snakes did anything for me, they would have showed me a life I would have never had now if I had it different back then.
Okay, so we got 4 minutes left. Let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
What do you want to become? What do you want in your life? What do you need to be happy? What do you expect out of your life?
A state senator. No. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, I'm not really into politics. I don't think you would be either.
I was only kidding there.
I know. Good one. That got me chuckling. Okay, so what do you want? What do you want from your life? What do you want to take from this life? What do you want to go on in the future with? What parts of you do you want to carry on to the future?
That's a lot of questions at one time.
Exactly.
I think yes. I wouldn't really change anything, but I would take what I've learned over the years and work with that so I can identify what I would be if I was 50.
Right. So what do you think I can identify yourself as being at 50?
I mean, I probably would take what I've learned over the years.
Yeah, like what specifically?
Like,
What's one of the big things you've learned? I think I got one good thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
well, go ahead.
Well, I think that one thing that I've really seen over the 5 years that we've been hanging out, 4.5, 5 years, whatever it is that we've noticed that environmental change is very big for you, isn't it? And how sometimes leaving somewhere quickly, you need time.
Yeah.
So I think that one thing we've noticed is that if you can manage your time properly to suit your personality, you're going to succeed. And if you can,
well,
and if you can help your peers understand that environmentally you may need a bit extra time to succeed,
actually,
I think you will be successful.
I think you're sort of understating there. I can't do that to my peers. I don't want them to look up to me.
So you wanna be able to take care of that yourself.
Yeah, but at the same time, since you brought up my peers,
Yep.
I don't want them looking up to me. That wouldn't be fair. Them looking up to me would make me feel useless.
Okay.
I would want me looking up to them.
So you want to be able to change your world for your peers.
Yes.
It's a very manly statement. It's a very grown-up statement. You want to change for
it-
those you love.
It's not something I did that makes them want to look up to me. It's something they did to me.
That makes you want to look up to them.
Yeah.
And change for them and be a better man for them.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Not them being a better man for me just because I went and came out of the shower, you know?
right. Got yourself cleaned up. Got a fresh look at things.
Yeah,
Change the way you want to live.
yeah,
You want to be more independent. You want to be more respectful. You want to be more considerate. You
Yeah.
want to take your time a little more.
it's not them looking up to me. It's me looking down to them, which makes me feel better
Right,
about
so-
myself.
So if you can somehow get yourself into a state of mind where you're taking care of yourself and you're not relying on them as much as you used to, that's what you want for your
Yeah,
life.
like I want them to learn. I don't want them learning from me. I want them learning for themselves.
Right, and vice versa for you. You want to learn things on your own?
And I would like to learn things from them
Right,
that I wouldn't be able to learn. I want to learn through a young mind, through a young pair of eyes.
right. That's good, man. I think that we've made a really awesome documentary about who you are as a person and what you want to become and what you've done, and everything you've said has been great.
Yeah.
So this is going to be about an hour-long video.
Yes.
I'm going to try and break it down and get it organized,
Okay.
and we'll be releasing this soon on YouTube.
Yeah.
So this is Brendan Wilkie
And Brendan Solomon.
signing off. I hope you enjoyed learning about us, and especially learning about Brendan and his life and how it's been and how we want it to be.
And individualism
Individualism.
does not count unless you have it.
That's right. Well said. Very wise. Individualism does not count unless you have it. This is Brendan and Brendan signing off.